This is James Olsen-Mills. This is activity 2 for module 3, unit 1. I want to just try to go as quickly over the comments from the teachers as I can. I interviewed 3 teachers, Scott Lewis, Don Nelson, and Chris Garrison. 2 of them teach at the high school I work at, and one of them teaches, my sister teaches at a 4th grade STEAM school, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So that covers the grade level. That was question 1. I did have a conversation with each teacher about the use of cell phones in class, because that's a current challenge for me in my career. So we went over with each teacher sort of what the special problems or challenges that cell phones pose. My sister doesn't have much of a problem because her students are 4th grade, and she's able to pretty much take a cell phone away if a child has a cell phone and not using it for a class project. The other 2 teachers I spoke with, whom I work with, they are very challenged right now, as am I, with the competition that cell phones pose and lack of integration of the cell phone with the curriculum, and it's sort of a forbidden object during instructional time. So the school is currently addressing this problem. They're trying to have a zero tolerance policy for instructional time. So it's a work in progress, and I would say the other 2 teachers agree that it's not a resolved issue yet. And the teachers are supposed to model the proper use of cell phones. So we put our cell phones away during the day. My sister uses her cell phone for quite a few class activities. So question number 4 talks about, have you ever had to take devices away? And this is universally pretty much a no. The teachers that I spoke with are pretty much deferring to administration and the referral process if a student gets kind of escalated about their cell phone. Number 6 was a description of the array of, or I'm sorry, number 5 was a description of the array of technology available in the schools. The first 2 teachers whom I work with, we work with Chromebooks. Each teacher has a computer. The Chromebooks are connected to the internet, and I would say there's a pretty high expectation with students about technology, but as a school, we under-deliver. I think the other teachers would agree that even the technology we do have, like Chromebooks, and we have projectors for the wall, we don't implement to the degree that they would be useful. My sister, on the other hand, believes that her technology is very adequate, if not beyond, above and beyond. She talked about the use of Chromebooks, and access is not a problem during the school day. And she has something called Makerspace, which I thought was really interesting. It gets the students working with their hands, and this is comparable with the science teacher. She really gets into it and gets the students to get their hands dirty and with science projects. So that's seen as a very valuable experience. Number 7 talks about the challenges that each teacher sees for themselves. Again, competition with cell phones. My sister had the most insightful comments was about the challenges, time and access. So among the teachers, access to the technology as a class is sometimes limited. But she says generally with good planning that doesn't the conflicts don't happen too often. And the idea of access for students is an issue. Sometimes for economic reasons, students may have a cell phone, but they don't have internet connectivity. So that poses a problem for the usefulness of their technology, their own technology. Um, the technology at home is another question, and that often has an impact on homework. So, if a student doesn't have access to a computer, his teacher, um, in the case, all three teachers would have told me about the challenges that the lack of access poses in terms of assigning homework and making assumptions about their ability to finish homework at home. So, increased access or loaner computers might be a good solution for some students in that situation. Question number 9 was about accommodations in place for students with disabilities. The language arts teacher, the intervention teacher, um, talked about the use of speech to text as a very good option that she's made good use of, and the students really like it because it allows them to do writing without the laborious process and sort of that mental aspect of writing that it sort of takes, it helps, it's a good helper tool. The math teacher, Scott Lewis, talked about different technology that he uses. He accesses a website that does some pre-assessments. It's called Alex, ALEKS.com. And he's had some good luck with that in terms of how it adapts to different levels of math and pretty much prescribes a curriculum based on the student's pretest. Question number 11 has to do with what changes teachers have seen. I think to a person, teachers have seen quite a bit of change in their lives with technology and have tried to adapt to integrate it. The math teacher talked about, the evolution of chalkboard from overheads to more projector based or PowerPoint based presentations, and the great uses for those tools, and also the integration of internet tools that have really improved. It just gives you another tool in your toolkit. And all the teachers agree to that. And my sister summed it up pretty well by saying that, there has to be a balance, and kids need to be getting their hands into things and doing things, as well as relying on technology, and learn discipline about the use of technology and what the limits are. I thought that was a pretty insightful comment. And don't see it as my sister commented on the fact that you shouldn't use technology as an end-all be-all, sort of like a babysitter for your students. So that's the summary of the comments. Regarding the lesson plan analysis, I had a few comments on the lesson plan that I was able to analyze. Had to do with, it basically came from my curriculum. The lesson plan that I got from my sister was simply a framework. Both are linked from my Google Doc, and I went through the standards for teachers, the ISTE standards, and I can just go over some comments I had about the first standard about being a tech learner, as a teacher being continually learning, and I think I would say the lesson plan, if you look at it, it promotes exploration, and it includes kind of alternative sources. If you see out to the side, there's a place for additional references or resources. So I've gone about putting websites as links for the planning people who look at this, and for myself included as I go through my daily activities. I just keep the links active, and I could get to those as the lessons come up. The idea about leadership in standards, I feel like the lesson plan models some kind of forward-looking use of technology. So putting the links in, I have videos, and trying to make connections with students so that they get the curriculum sort of comes alive, because the curriculum that we use is a tech tool as well. It's called Apex, It's an online curriculum, high school level curriculum. So those, I would say, are all tools that tie into the idea of leadership or modeling leadership. Promoting digital citizenship, I would say we have some roadblocks to that in the school, and the teachers and the lesson plan reflects that in the sense that even though I provide these links, we have a highly controlled, and all three teachers work in an environment where the web access is highly controlled and monitored. So it limits even good websites because of the software that's used for blocking. It's not selective enough or fine-tuned enough to pick and choose websites. So it's either, an example is there are a lot of good educational tools and videos and even whole courses of instruction on YouTube, but as a school at this point, we cannot selectively input websites to work on the school's Chromebooks. So it's either all or nothing. So I see that as kind of an impediment and basically an area that needs addressing with regard to the standards. The fourth standard talked about collaboration, and I feel like the lesson plan process, if you look at the lesson plan, is tied into sort of a group effort. We have to submit the lesson plans, and we can access each other's plans to a degree when we need to, and we can borrow information from other, in my case would be another language arts teacher. The idea of the last standards, 5, 6, and 7. 5 talks about design and building in a design sort of methodology to using technology in the classroom. I would say that needs some work with regard to the lessons. The lesson plan uses what's called the 5E model, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And number 6, regarding integrating the learning objectives with technology. I would say if you look at the lesson plan, the objectives up there, and the technology supports the objective and not the other way around. And we also need work on the last standard, which was using data. So that's a work in progress as far as the lesson plan goes. I would say doing some testing and monitoring of the technology would go a long way to, providing data for that. So that's the end of my vlog. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.